We've had people asking on YouTube about sapwood and what thickness of sapwood should we have. Well, why have we got sapwood anyway? With yew, if you're making a self yew bow, you'll see just under the bark is a very pale coloured sapwood, and that, as you probably know, is very good at resisting tension forces, so it will stretch and it forms the outside curve of the bow when it's bent. The heartwood, the orange coloured heartwood, very good at resisting compression, so that forms the inside curve of the bow. So we need both. Does it matter how thick the sapwood is? Well, depends what you're making. If you're just making a bow just for a bit of fun and you're not intending to use it in competitions, then probably doesn't matter that much. But sapwood is not as strong as the heartwood, and if you're making a bow that starts to slim towards the end, if the sapwood's too thick, you'll end up with no heartwood and all sapwood, which is not ideal. So really what you'd like is about a 1/4 inch thickness of sapwood, something like this. So we have the bark, so if you just took the bark off, you've got a really nice even layer of sapwood, and that's the ideal. And of course you're not always going to get that, but if you do, great. You just carefully take the bark off, don't cut into the sapwood at all. In fact, the least you can do with the sapwood, the better. So that is a perfect piece. Very rare to get, but not impossible. What we usually end up with is something like that, with quite a thickness of sapwood. A bit too much, really. By the time you get to the end, the knock end of the bows, you're going to have mainly sapwood. Again, not ideal. You like to have a good amount of heartwood in the bow. So as you know, that's where the bow will come from. You need a piece of wood about 9-12 inches diameter that you can split, and you'll find if you've got a thickness sapwood that's too much, you will need to reduce it, and you can do that with a draw knife or spoke shave very carefully, ideally following the layers of the grain, the undulations of the wood, so you're not cutting through that sapwood and weakening the bow. Can be a lot of work, but it's something you have to do. This particular bow has a number of curves in it, so when we made this one we had to follow those undulations and in fact not take too much of the sapwood off. You don't want to cut through too many layers of grain. You don't have to religiously follow everyone really, but the nearer you can, the better. The other bow we've got is this one, and this is an antique bow. It's made by Muir of Edinburgh, which is marked on it, and he was bowyer to the Royal Company of Archers, and he was their in-house bowyer, if you like. He actually looked after all their bows and worked in the workshop they have up in Edinburgh. And this is a self yew bow. It's well over 150 years old, and this guy knew what he was doing. And as you can see, the sapwood, it's darkened down with age, but it's still that pale colour, and it's about a 1/4 inch, sort of 5-6 millimeter thickness, and that means that at the knock end, which are quite slim knocks actually, because this is a lady's bow, a lady's weight bow, you've still got quite a thickness of heartwood and just that thin layer of sapwood. He may even have taken that sapwood down just a little bit towards the tips. So that's quite important. The other bow on the bench is something a lot bigger, and this was intended to be a replica of one of the bows off the Mary Rose, about one of the bigger ones. And the sapwood, again, you can see quite a thin layer of sapwood, probably again 5-6 millimeters, and it was even pretty well throughout the length. So I just removed the bark and then carefully took it down, following those lumps and bumps So we're not cutting through the layers of grain, because this is very important. It's probably more important than the belly. If this is bending and there's a flaw in it or a weakness in it, the bow will break. So you must make sure that this sapwood is the most important bit when you're making the bow. You can get away with all sorts of things in the belly, but not the back of the bow, the sapwood. So there we are. If you can get that nice thin layer of sapwood, ideal. Not every piece of wood is perfect, and you've just got to work around it as best you can.
Thank you to our YouTube subscriber who sent us in that question about the thickness of sapwood on yew. Hopefully that's answered your question. Please do let us know in the comments below if you've got any questions or videos that you'd like us to make. In fact, on the subject of making videos, as you've probably noticed, YouTube would rather we were making short form content. That's the sort of thing where the camera's up that way round and it's like a dance or something that you do in 30 seconds that all the kids are into, apparently. Well, unfortunately, obviously that's not what we're doing, so it means any ad revenue that we were getting from our long form content, such as this video that you're watching now, has been halved. So yeah, if you'd like us to carry on making videos, then we're going to need your support. So please do like, subscribe, comment, share the videos, and if you're feeling really kind and would like to see the channel carry on with these sorts of videos, then use the PayPal donate button below, or the thanks button, but we do actually get more of the money that you give us if you use the PayPal link rather than the thanks button, because YouTube take quite a cut. So there you are. If you'd like to see more of these videos, perhaps do all of those things, and if you can't, just a thumbs up and a thanks and a comment will do. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time. That isn't me.